Have you ever felt overwhelmed by everything you've learned? What if the goal of education wasn't to know more, but to know less? Welcome to a world where the greatest minds don't accumulate knowledge, they shed it. In this reality, the pinnacle of learning is not to become a sage, but to return a soul to its primal innocence. And universities are not halls of learning, but monasteries of methodical forgetting. In one such monastery, Professor Hoang was a living legend. They called him the Grand Master of Undoing. For decades, no one could erase knowledge from a student's mind as elegantly and thoroughly as he could. Thousands of the nation's brightest had passed through his hands, only to leave the university gates with a clear mind, an empty head, perfectly prepared for the challenges of high school. Today was special. It was Professor Hoang's final lecture, the last class before he would officially begin the illustrious career he had started 40 years ago. The ancient lecture hall was packed to the rafters. The final year students, the most brilliant minds in the country, sat in absolute silence. They held no notebooks. Their eyes weren't filled with eagerness, but with the intense focus of someone preparing for a spiritual surgery. They were here to forget. Professor Hoang, his hair as white as frost, stepped up to the podium. He carried no notes, only a simple board eraser. Behind him, a massive blackboard was a dense tapestry of equations, quantum physics diagrams, and complex cosmology theories. The entire semester's knowledge, condensed and displayed. "Good morning," he said, his voice calm and steady. "Today, we will undo the most difficult part, the general theory of relativity. We will return Einstein to his silence." He turned to the board and began to write, but his chalk left no mark. Instead, it seemed to absorb the intricate formulas already written there. Einstein's famous field equation faded, character by character, sucked back into the small white chalk stick. "Remember," he said as he erased, his voice like a gentle lullaby. "You are not forgetting. You are liberating. You are returning to the universe the laws you tried to borrow. Do not try to understand. Try to return." The students closed their eyes, entering a meditative state. They were actively severing neural pathways, dismantling complex concepts of curved spacetime, black holes, and the very expansion of the universe. You could almost see the relief wash over their faces. An immense weight of knowledge was being lifted, and a collective, quiet sigh of relief spread through the room. They were no longer bound by the burden of understanding. By the end of the session, the board was pure, unblemished black. Their minds were clean slates. Professor Hoang turned back to face the class. He waited. A profound silence hung in the air. Then, at the very back of the room, a young woman named Anne, the brightest of her class, timidly raised her hand. Her eyes were crystal clear, filled with a pure, unadulterated curiosity. "Professor," she asked, her voice as innocent as a child's, I have a question. The sun, is it real, or is it just a big lamp someone hung up?" For a moment, the hall was utterly still. Then a thunderous applause erupted. The other students looked at Anne with pure admiration. It was the perfect question. A question from someone who had truly graduated. Professor Hoang turned away for a second, hiding a single tear that welled in his eye. He had succeeded. Anne had reached perfect innocence, the primal state of a mind undefiled by knowledge. He stepped down from the podium and walked towards her. She stood up and handed him her graduating thesis, a brilliant 50-page analysis of space-time paradoxes, a true masterpiece of thought. He took it with a gentle smile. In return, he handed her a sheaf of blank paper. "Congratulations, Anne," he whispered. "You have graduated. You are ready to begin the 12th grade." Anne smiled, a radiant, unburdened smile, clutching the blank pages as if they were the most prestigious diploma in the world. Professor Hoang left the lecture hall, leaving behind a generation liberated from the heavy burden of knowing. He had fulfilled his mission as an educator. He had returned to the world its most precious resource, innocent souls, ready to be filled once more. This story is, of course, a witty satire on the purpose of education and the value of what we call knowledge. It poses a fascinating question. Is knowing a burden? The ignorance in this story isn't stupidity. It's a state of mindfulness, a blank slate that allows for a new journey to begin. The lesson here is profound. Sometimes, to truly learn something new, we must have the courage to forget the old. The greatest lesson isn't in how much knowledge we can amass, but in whether we can keep our ability to see the world with fresh, curious eyes. It's about maintaining that childlike wonder, that ability to ask a question like, "Is the sun real? What do you think? Is there knowledge you wish you could forget to see the world anew?" Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey into the mind, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more stories that make you think.